Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Movie 101, together with my partner in movies, Mr. Bob Lamont.
Hey, Daniel, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to every one of us.
You want some popcorn? I got some freshly made here behind me if you'd like to have some.
I love popcorn with the butter. Oh, is usually if there's a popcorn, there is, of course, soft drinks or whatever. What else?
Sure,
Beverage.
yeah. You get yourself well, depending. I mean, soda? Do you say
Soda.
soda or do you say pop?
Pop. I think soda.
Pop? You say soda?
Soda.
Okay.
The-
Because, I mean, there's a debate, whether you call it soda or pop. Now, some people even call it just Coke.
yes. If we think
All soda is called Coke.
Coke.
Even if it's Pepsi, they call it Coke. Can you believe it?
Yes. If we say Colgate, it's not toothpaste. Colgate.
No, it's all
Grass.
Colgate. Yeah, exactly. So there's a whole big, in the U.S. there's a whole big thing about what you call your, carbonated beverage.
Hmm.
I think over in England they call them fizzy drinks.
Fizzy drinks. Yes.
Yeah, and
Def-
so, but that kind of leads us to our movie today
Oh, yes. Definitely.
because much like the issue of what people call a carbonated beverage, people have an issue with Die Hard. Is it a Christmas movie or is it not a Christmas movie?
What do you think? Is it a Christmas movie or a New Year movie?
Maybe it is New Year movie. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
But there's a big debate, about whether or not it's a Christmas movie. Now, where do you fall on that, Daniel?
I think for the premise of the movie itself, it is during New Year's Eve, I think.
It's actually Christmas.
Christmas Eve, yeah. Christmas Eve,
Christmas
right?
Eve, yeah.
Yes.
You're right. It is actually on Christmas Eve because the very beginning of the movie, the boss, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna blow his name here, but Mr. Takagi, he says, "Merry Christmas to everybody," and the
Yes.
party's on Christmas Eve.
Hmm. So that
Yeah.
way we categorize that this is for Christmas movie.
Well, but it's really, I mean, everybody. It's an action movie, obviously, but there is a whole thing. Is it a Christmas movie? Now, but do you think it's a Christmas movie? Or you just think it's like a regular action movie that happens to happen at Christmas
Christmas.
time?
I think so. It so
Christmas
happen
movie?
it's Christmas.
Okay.
Don't you
Because
think?
I was going to say I think that it's a Christmas movie. And I'll tell you a couple of things. Within 3 minutes of the movie starting,
Yes.
you have what is now. It wasn't at the time, but what is now, I would say, a classic Christmas song plays, and that's "Christmas in Hollis" by Run DMC. And it came out in 1987. Die Hard 1988, but basically they came out almost at the same time. And at this point in time, Christmas in Hollis now is a classic modern Christmas music. At the time, it was fairly new, but now modern Christmas music. And then at the end of the movie, it's bookend by another Christmas song, which I'm blanking, of course, on what that one is. Uh, Give me vamp for a second.
Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead. Actually, it's been a
So
long
it's
time
"Let
I
It
didn't watch
Snow."
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
"Let It
let's know.
Snow." That's it. I
Let
was
it
trying to
snow.
remember the name of the song. Is "When the weather outside
Right,
is frightful and this
yes.
fire is so delightful."
Delightful.
It's "Let It Snow" again. Now that is a older, but still, it's a Dean Martin song. It's a classic Christmas song. So you have a modern classic and then kind of an older classic from like the late 50s, I think it is, that bookend the whole movie. And then when we first meet Mr. Takagi, he says Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yes.
So I don't know if there's any argument that you can say that this is not a Christmas movie, because it is so steeped. It's totally ensconced in Christmas.
How about if they say, "Oh, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year"?
Mhm. So,
If they add,
but we're on the same page. So, but I just wanted to get that out of the way and say, for the folks who say it's not a Christmas movie, it's a Christmas movie. I mean, you
it
can't
is.
get around it. And even uh, the, the terrorists are in the Christmas mood as well during the whole movie. Um, it's decorated. Everything's decorated for Christmas. You can't get the power company to do things because it's Christmas Eve. I mean, it is so steeped in Christmas that you can have the movie without Christmas, but what makes it happen is the fact that it's Christmas Eve, so everything is kind of, they can come take over the building because there's not as many security people because it's Christmas. They can, run rampant with their plans because it's Christmas. The police aren't really paying attention until they have to because it's Christmas. And so the whole plot of the movie revolves around the fact that it's Christmas Eve. They couldn't pull this off if it was, Wednesday.
Yes. It Christmas movie, people. Don't argue with it with Mr. Bob. He presented the facts. So
That's
please.
where, yeah, that's where I'm at for that one. Now, but as far as the movie goes, obviously it's a classic movie at this point, and it has, it's a classic because there's been so many other movies that basically rip off this movie. Under Siege is Die
Yes.
Hard on a Navy ship. They had Die Hard on a plane. You've got Die Hard in, undersea. There's Die Hard at a resort. Everything has ripped off this movie over time since it was released. You can't, you could go. There's like a list of Die Hard ripoff movies, so it's such a classic. And I think part of the reason that it is such a classic, and I don't know that you and I have talked about this. I've talked about this to other folks, but it is a fairly straightforward plot that is driven in a linear fashion. There's no flashbacks, there's no real flash forwards, there's none of that kind of stuff. You get pulled into it at the beginning with John McClane arriving. You got Argyle who's driving him to this party. He's a fish out of water. He's not supposed to be there. Him and his wife are having marital problems. Everything gets set up within the first few minutes of this movie so well to show that she is upper management. He's a working class guy. I mean, by the time Christmas in Hollis plays, which is about 3 minutes into the movie, you pretty much have the backstory of John McClane and Holly Gennaro McClane, and you haven't even met her yet. And so it really is such a well written movie that they were able to get all this across in such a quick amount of time. And then once he gets to the party, right, and they don't wait to get to the action. They bring in Hans Gruber and his group and get right to it. He doesn't he John McClane doesn't even have time to finish going to the bathroom before they've already secured everybody at the
Yes.
party, and they start in on the action. And I think that is what makes this such a classic, is because it doesn't dawdle. We don't need to know that, we don't need to see John McClane as a New York cop. He says he is, and then he proves he is with his actions linearly in the story. And so it doesn't take a lot of time to set up everybody. And the same happens with with Hans Gruber. The same happens with Sergeant Al Powell. All these characters, the setup for them is so tight and concise that you know where they're at, right? Al Powell is just stopping at a convenience store, right? So
Yes.
Reginald Vell Johnson plays Sergeant Al Powell. He's on his way home for Christmas Eve after working his shift. He stops at a convenience store. He's getting some Twinkies, right? And he's no, you already know Al Powell's story. He's a longtime cop. He's got a pregnant wife. He's he's doing her the favor of picking up Twinkies because that's what she wants, right? So he's a family man, regular Joe, and they're like, "Hey, can you swing by Nakatomi on your way because we've heard something's going on?" Ah, sure, whatever. It's Christmas Eve. I'll wander over there, and we have Sergeant Al Powell. We're pulled into his world immediately. I mean, I can't think of another movie that where its script is so concise and so well written that you have all the characters. Even later in the movie, when Dwayne T. Robinson, who is Al Powell's superior, comes to take over the scene, we don't even need to know much about him. You can just know he's a jerk, right? His actions
Yes.
all prove that he's a jerk.
Totally jerk.
and and then you have that character, so you don't need to have a bunch of exposition on each one of these. I mean, if this is not what everybody who's doing screenwriting should read and mimic, there can't be a better thing than this movie.
Definitely. So, Mr. Bob, why is it Die Hard considered a classic Christmas despite of action-packed plot?
Well, because we have Christmas throughout. I mean, the whole movie revolves
Yes.
around Christmas. He after he kills a terrorist, he puts a Santa hat at him, says ho ho ho, I've got a machine gun now, right?
Yes.
And then, even, I mean, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to give away any spoilers. It's from '88. You should have already seen it by now if you haven't. But even at the
Yes.
end, whenever he confronts Hans Gruber, he tapes a gun to his back. What kind of tape is he using to tape the gun? It's
Yes.
holiday tape. It's not regular duct tape
Not a
or
duct
anything.
tape. Yes.
It's got like holly or something on it, right? In fact, it may be Holly, to be honest with you. And her name is Holly Gennaro. How can you get even more
It's Christmas
get even
movie.
more Christmassy? You got Holly, right? But I think the other thing is that they did a really good job with this movie, so you can tell who everyone is, right? So a lot of times in movies, I don't know if people know this or not, but they use color for wardrobe for people. They use glasses, they use hats, they use identifying things. And then so each one of the terrorists in the group and so forth, Alexander Goodenough as Carl, and Clarence Gilliard Jr. as Theo. They're all very different, right? So they all have very identifying features, right? So Al Long, who his name, even though I had no idea what his name is until I looked it up, Uli. He was the Asian character with the mustache and beard. He's been in a bunch of action movies since this one, but he certainly has a distinct look, right? And so each one of these terrorists are different and have a different personality. And because Uli Al Lung, he steals a candy bar while he's guarding the front door, and I mean it's just a throwaway scene, right? But
Yes.
it it and he thinks about it. I don't know if you watch that scene. What cracks me up about that scene is not so much that he steals the candy bar; it's that he hesitates. I mean, they're killing people and taking over a building, and he hesitates to steal a candy bar. I mean, the humor is macabre, but very funny because they have control. Who cares? You should just grab a candy bar. But he's like, I don't know. Maybe, okay, I'm going to. And it's just little moments like that throughout the movie that really elevate it to a classic. Carl and his brother's trying to get the phone lines all taken care of, and Carl comes along with that chainsaw or whatever and starts cutting things, and then his brother has to hurry and get his work done. And it a simple scene, but immediately constitutes sibling rivalry. You know how people who work together, kind of rib each other, and so forth, and it brings you into the world of these people a little bit more, where they could have not even had that scene. It didn't matter, and it didn't take long, but it didn't matter. But what it does is it sets up these folks that these two people obviously are related, and big brother is picking on little brother. And again, and then whenever you have that established, then it establishes a bunch of other things, because later Carl gets mad because his brother got killed, right? His brother comes down with the Santa hat, ho ho ho, on his shirt. And so now you know why Carl is so mad, because that is his brother. But that little tiny scene set up so much. And so really, I mean, even though this is a incredibly fun movie and people probably, take it for granted, and they're like, it's just a good action movie. It's a dumb action movie. It's not. This movie, whenever you start picking it apart piece by piece, is incredibly deep, incredibly layered, and incredibly well written. And whenever people look back at it, you notice these kind of things, you're like, wow, why aren't more movies taking the time to do the things that they did here? The Bruce Willis was not the first pick for this movie. I'm sure you've heard those stories, right? The
No,
original first pick
sorry.
for the you
Who?
never heard this?
No, who?
So the original first pick for this movie, you're gonna, if you don't know that fact, then this is gonna blow you away, was Frank Sinatra.
Oh, wow.
And the reason was because there was another, this is based on a book, right? And the book's name wasn't Die Hard, but the reason was because Frank Sinatra played John McClane uh,
Movie.
in another book, right?
Another book. Okay.
Yeah, but now he was older now, obviously in 1988, and so he really wasn't up for it. But they had to offer it to him first because of the fact that he had already played the character. I'm trying to remember the name of the book here, so I'm sorry, I don't remember off the top of my head here. But yeah, he was there, and I think at one point Sylvester Stallone was attached to do this, because again in '88 he was a huge star at that point, and it just didn't work out. And so then Bruce Willis got the job, and I think they did some rewrites to fit Bruce Willis, because he had a persona on television in Moonlighting as David Addison, as a smart aleck. And so then they started to put these other scenes in where he's, welcome to the party, pal, and yippee ki yay, mf'er, and all that kind of stuff. And so then that was obviously cued towards Bruce Willis's persona, on-screen persona. Um, but it's all these elements that create what is an enduring, movie. It doesn't even look bad. It's shot in 1988. Most of the things were practical effects. All the things are practical effects, because CGI really wasn't. It was just starting out, just ahead of this. And so it's either a miniature or it's a practical effect, where you saw the guy falling off the building. That was a stunt person who got, uh, they were on a wire. You couldn't see it, but they got thrown off a building. And so I think all that helps the fact that it's a classic, because it still holds up today. It doesn't look bad. It looks really good. The explosions look good. When they blow up the top of the tower, looks good. I mean, even when the helicopter falls into the building, even though that's a miniature, still looks really good. And so the weird thing is, they have this movie, which I think is one of the perfect movies because it entertains you greatly, but it gives you all this depth, and it does things in such a um, uh, conservative fashion, and not conservative in any kind of politics, but conservative as in these little scenes that give you a lot of depth into these characters, so you don't have these big long expositions or anything. You know, when the terrorists take over, who cares what they're after? And then you find out they're lying. It's all part of the scheme, and you go right along with it. You're carried right along with it. And you when you watch this movie, it's fun, it's exciting. You care about these people, and you care about these characters, and it's one of those movies where I can't really find many faults with it.
And
And
also, I
it's
think,
hard to find these days.
yes, and I think Arnold Schwarzenegger also turned it down.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
Yes. So, do
Hmm.
you think if Arnold Schwarzenegger portray John, what do you think? Is it the same
Mm,
success
uh,
or
uh,
Sylvester
it,
Stallone?
I think it still would have been a successful movie. I don't think that it would be a movie that we're talking about still. For instance, give you an idea, right?
Yes.
Raw Deal is a Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Does
Mm.
anybody remember that?
No.
No, exactly, right?
Yes.
It was a movie in the 80s that he was in, not memorable, right? It was a very good action movie,
True. Yes.
but not memorable. I'm trying to think of what. There's a movie called Nighthawks with Sylvester Stallone,
Yes.
a good action movie, not
That's
memorable.
hard to remember. Yes.
Yeah. So but I think the combination of everything that this movie brings forward is what makes it so memorable. And also the fact that they so heavily tied it into the holiday of Christmas helps as well, because people, you're thinking about family, you're thinking about all these things whenever you're in that, um, when you're talking about the holidays. And so it helps pull it all together, right? You're worried about these people, and it ups the sense of what's happening, as opposed to it just being, oh yeah, whatever, another terrorist group's taken over something. There's more
Yes.
to it, and all of the levels of people, even the, like, I mentioned Uli, Al Jung's character. Even though he's a supporting character, he's not in it very very much at all, amongst the whole movie. He still shines when he's on the screen, and everybody does. And I obviously, I think it's helped along um, uh, by Alan Rickman being the head terrorist, Hans Gruber. He did such. This was his first movie. He was a stage actor primarily before this. He was not, super young. He was in his mid 30s, I think, at the time. But this was his first movie. He did such a great job of being this menacing gentleman. And I mean, as far as a villain goes, you can't hardly get any better than Hans Gruber. I mean, they want Hans Gruber in everything as the villain because he did such a good job. Normally your villain is what I would call over menacing, right? They're just kind of a big thug kind of person, but he's not. He's in a designer suit. He speaks with a British accent. He's very suave and sophisticated, and yet incredibly brutal, because he kills Mr. Takagi like without a blink, and he turns to the next thing. And very, sophisticated, very smart. He brings all that to this character. And then on the opposite, you have Bruce Willis, who's just a smart ass blue collar guy. And pairing those two together was just genius, because you get both sides of it, because to be honest with you, when you're watching it, you don't think Hans Gruber is such a horrible person, at least at the beginning. You're like, I mean, it would be nice to be Hans Gruber, wouldn't it? And
Yes.
even when he after he starts killing people and so forth, he's still, you still have in the back of your head, you're like, he's still a pretty cool guy, right? All the way
Yes.
until the end. And it just not a lot of people, especially at that time. I think since then, obviously, we've got you know more characters like him, but at the time, I think until that point, there really wasn't a lot of overly sophisticated criminals in movies. And so he really, kind of broke the mold a bit and brought forward a brand new, character style to everything. But this movie does so much with so many different things. It's just incredibly interesting. I'm trying to think if there's something that I could say that I didn't like.
Which one?
But there's not much. But the only thing I think is that I thought was a little bit odd and didn't quite go with everything, but they made it work, was Argyle. So they needed Argyle to set up John McClane, and they did that fantastically. And then Argyle's like, I'll just wait around down the garage, right? And he waits. I mean, how long did he wait there? For goodness sake, he had to be there for a few hours. So that one was a little bit, with everything going on, that was a little bit hard to swallow that Argyle would hang out down there. But they did, go back to him every once in a while. He's listening, to music and calling his girlfriends or what have you, and having a good time in the limo. And so they sold it, but that's probably the, what I mean. Normally, I don't know if you've ever, any kind of car service you ever take, they don't stick around. You know what I mean? They kind of just drop you off and they're off to the next thing. So Argyle hanging out for so long to be there at the end of the movie was a little bit of a stretch, but they tried to make that work. That's probably the worst, and that's not even that bad. So that's kind of the worst part of the movie, as far as believability. But once you believe that terrorists take over a tower and do all these things, I mean, having a guy sit down drinking champagne in the back of a limo, listening to the music's probably not that big of a stretch. So
Definitely. Speaking of Bruce Willis, hope and prayers for him because he's suffering from dementia, I think. Frontal
so
dementia.
yeah, he's got a form of, well, I think it's a aphasia, which is a form of dementia, but he or it's not a form of dementia. It's like a tangential uh, to dementia. But anyway, his mind is not
Stable.
functioning as it should. Yeah, and he's becoming with aphasia. You lose your vocabulary.
Oh,
You don't.
wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very sad. And it's just like luck of the draw. I think this could happen to anybody, kind of a situation. So it is really, you know,
Hope and prayers for him.
yeah, terrible. I mean, if eventually he'll become non-communicative, non-communicative, and he'll just be there. So
But anyway, thank you so much for giving us this entertaining action movie. Oh, they said the greatest action films of all time. Do you
yeah,
agree?
definitely, I agree.
I agree. We agree, people. And receiving 4 Academy Award nominations.
Did it get any? I don't think it did. Did it?
I think so. No,
Oh, did it?
let's see. It said receiving 4 Academy Awards nomination. I think
Yeah, but not for any
nominations.
people though. Was it just for sound or something? Wasn't it?
Yes, I think so. Wait, let's see. Academy Motion Films, and I cannot see. I think nomination only.
I think it got nominated for, and I can look it up here. I think it got nominated for sound, and some
Editing.
visual effects, perhaps, but not for acting. Which, oddly enough, I think it should have,
Yes.
but it was too fun. Um, you know what I mean? So
They said it's the
It
best
said best
Christmas
film
films
here you
of
go. I
all
got
time.
it. Best film editing, best visual effects, best sound mixing, and best sound editing, which is true. But
Yes.
I mean, you could have easily put Alan Rickman in the running for supporting actor for his portrayal, but because it was such a popcorn movie, even in '88, people, you know, weren't going to go there. But masterful acting by Rickman for sure. And then Bruce Willis did a great job. Obviously, you wanted to go have a drink with Bruce Willis. He was a cool guy,
Yes.
and he came across. And I don't know if he's really a cool guy or not, but everybody believes it. So
Still cool.
but because it was kind of an actiony kind of popcorn movie, I don't think people took it as seriously.
But Mr. Bruce Willis, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. Hoping for the best. That one day you can do one more movie with a Die Hard. Die Hard fans. What do you think?
Hey, maybe Die Hard in a nursing home. There you go.
Yeah. Die as as a comedy. Oh, Die Hard in in a comedy action.
Hmm.
So, Mr. Bob, if you rate this Die Hard 1 to 10, where you will be rated?
Oh, it's got to be 10. I can't see it anywhere other than 10. It's a 10 of a movie.
10 of a movie, yes.
Yeah,
It's one of a
got to be.
kind. Yes, yes, people, highly recommended. I think I picked the wrong one. Sorry. Oh my goodness. Die Hard people is a groundbreaking action film released in 1988. And according to Mr. Bob, is highly recommended. 10, 10, 10. That
Mhm.
redefine the genre, which blend the intense action, suspense, and sharp humor. Can you share the sharp humor over there, Mr. Bob? In Die Hard. I can't remember.
The humor, quarterback is toast. That's a
Oh,
good humorous line from the movie, as well as I think we're going to need 2 more FBI guys.
oh yes, for sure. And congratulations, Mr. Bruce Willis. I hope and we pray for your good health. And sooner or later, you will do a Die Hard comedy. So, Mr. Bob, another great movie. And I hope next episode we will talk about what do you think? What we're gonna talk about next week?
What would you like to talk about next week? There's a movie out called Heretic, which is
Oh yes,
a horror movie that is supposed to be really interesting. Maybe we'll talk about that one next week.
yes, for sure. So, people, tune in next week. Let's talk about horror movies. Mr. Bob, do you want to plug something?
Oh, whatever. You can come see me on a weekly basis at Static Radio, staticradio.com, Static Radio on the socials. We tell stories. This last week, I told a story about people throwing up on Christmas Eve at my house.
Oh
It was
wow.
fantastic because everybody was sick, just like you, Daniel.
Oh my goodness. Yes, people tune in next week. And of course, book one review on my feature in fifth season already, people. Fifth season. My feature author of the month of January, award winning and best selling author, Mr. Harry Turtle Dove. So please do tune in or listen to our first episode. So, Mr. Bob, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Daniel. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everyone. More to come, people. See you soon. So, Mr. Bob, I think next week I